we have 5 key points to address the moral dimensions of the information age. One of the points is information rights and obligations. Rights and obligations. Information rights and obligations. Now, this dimension addresses our right to the information that belongs to us. Are people going to interfere with that information? What are the morals governing that information that belongs to us? If I create a book, I publish a book today and upload it onto the web, then people will start trying to read it. People will start trying to hack so that they modify it, or people will use that information for other activities. Now, in that case, we're saying the morals should guide them, should let them know that this information should be purchased, or this information should not be copied to be used in another dimension. But this is very difficult in the digital era. The idea of saying that the information that is uploaded onto the web belongs to us and the obligations that we have towards that information is very, very difficult to ensure in this information age. The other moral dimension is property rights. Property rights. This dimension addresses the rights that we have to the intellectual property, or addresses how the traditional intellectual property rights will be protected in a digital society where information is uploaded onto the web. We have the traditional intellectual property rights. Like intellectual property talks about software, talks about data, the intangible property. How will this property be protected in a digital society? What are the morals that will be able to guide the protection of this particular property? Number 3 looks at accountability and control. Under the moral dimensions, we have accountability and control. Now, this dimension looks at our morals towards taking responsibility of actions that we do. In the information era, people want to access other people's data, but they don't want to take responsibility for that. They don't want to be accountable. This dimension tells us that we should have good morals. We should be able to ensure that we are accountable for the activities that we do. Control. How are we going to control the what we call unethical activities? What we call the immorality. If you look at that, we're told the damage that has been done to us by other individuals. That is what it's trying to address. So what controls can we put in place to ensure that this damage does not escalate? Now, we also have system quality, the moral dimension that looks at quality assurance, trying to ensure that our systems are so qualitative despite the digital data being vulnerable to hacking and being vulnerable to corruption. This dimension looks at how qualitative are our systems, how qualitative are our data or the activities that relate to that data. Then we have quality of life. Another moral dimension that we try to address is the quality of life. Despite the variations in culture, despite the variations in our practices, we should ensure that the data that we're dealing with is very qualitative to add value to the organization's procedures, or to add value to the people who are using the systems. That is what we call quality of life. So those are the 5 moral dimensions of the information age. As much as we develop our codes of practice or our code of ethics, we need to remember the 5 dimensions of the moral age, or what we call 5 moral issues that we discuss when we are dealing with ethics. 5 dimensions, 5 moral dimensions of the information age. No organization develops a code of ethics without thinking of those particular areas. Now, the other area which we look at are the key technology trends that raise ethical issues. What are the key technology trends that raise ethical issues?